So I just want to pause here and talk about history's push state versus replace state. Now, if we change our push state over to replace state, you can see that we have data, title, and then the URL. So where does the difference lie? If we, for example, navigate across and use a replace state, this is then going to take the current entry in our history object and simply replace it. So it will remove, in a sense, our current history object state for that particular entry or page and then replace it with the new entry. So it's essentially a swap, which then leads us to using a push state. If we then use push state, when we then go and navigate to a new URL, we then have in our history stack, ultimate courses and the new tab. And that is because we have this almost redirect in place where we're checking the default path name. We then have our constant of players and we push a new item into our state. So we're essentially seeing two things happen here. We're having a base route loaded and then we're changing. So it's in fact remembering that base route. You can see if I click back, it then takes us back. If I hit refresh, we then get redirected again. So if we were to then change this to replace state, we can then refresh. We can then take our localhost 4000, open a new tab, because that's the best way that we can demonstrate this, hit enter, and then we should not see anything in our history stack. And that is because we have replaced the initial state. So this, in fact, is a perfect opportunity for us to keep using replace state. Because if we're on that /, we don't want to keep going back to it and then running this same line of code. So this completely removes it altogether. And you can see that when we click back and forward, it doesn't actually take us to that / entry. It takes us straight to Mario's ID. So now that we've learned about replace state and push state, what we want to do now is essentially hydrate the page and inject that particular content based on the player that was selected.